Welcome back to Ask Abundance. Today I'm joined by Rebecca Smith. Rebecca is a limitless practice grad who came aboard Team Abundance. She's got a premium fee private pay practice in New Orleans and is great at helping abundance therapists imagine what's possible for them. So I'm going to tell you about today's question. Here we go. I've built a pretty steady practice, and I'm realizing I've basically created a job I can't step away from without the money dropping fast. If I take time off, my income takes a hit, and even a lighter week makes me feel anxious about the month. I want to work fewer hours because I'm tired and I miss having a life, but I'm scared that cutting sessions means I'll lose financial stability. How do I reduce my caseload without accidentally blowing up my income or my momentum? Juicy. So before we get into that answer, I would love to thank our sponsor, TherapyNotes. I've talked about them for years, know their features by heart, but what truly sets them apart is that they genuinely care about your experience. It's not just about troubleshooting, they actively implement user suggested features like therapy search, clinical outcome tracking, and their AI notes feature, Therapy Fuel. Everyone at Therapy Notes believes in the product and wants you to love it too. Plus, they're independently owned, which means no venture capital and no pressure to prioritize investors over customers. This independence allows them to keep their prices fair, to focus on innovation, and prioritize their customer experience. With over 100,000 therapists already on board, they've proven that you don't have to compromise success for quality. If you're ready to see for yourself, try Therapy Notes free for 2 months with the code ABUNDANT at therapynotes.com. All right, Rebecca. This is a good juicy one.
It is. I feel like
Let's
I was there. I was like, oh, I feel you.
You were
Yeah.
there. You were
I was
there.
so hard there.
So what stands out to you that we should talk about first?
Uh, I think that the thing that stands out is there's both the really practical, like how much is this person charging? How many sessions a week? Is there any like planned built-in time off that is financially accounted for too?
Hmm.
And then also just there's so much fear in this one. And I really get that because holding all of that on your own shoulders is really scary. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Can you tell your story a little bit of like where you were before we met and where you are
Yes.
now?
Yeah. So I before we met, I was seeing 35 sessions a week, bare like scraping by, not paying off my credit card, just like minimum 35 sessions a week, just really, really,
Hmm.
really trying to make it work. And I got on the phone with Allison because I had a plan and I was going to do a side hustle and I was going to ask Allison about how I could do this fun side hustle to make enough money so that I could change my life. And she was like, You were like, girl, this your cute little podcast is not going to do it. What's going to do it is changing your therapy practice where you're already successful. I needed to go off insurance. I needed to up my rates. And I've now make more money working 20 hours a week than I did working 35 hours a week with 15 hours a week for me.
Hmm.
Um, and it's crazy because being able to do that completely changed it changed my practice, but it changed my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not as scared anymore, and I really want this person to not be scared.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, when I read this, I was like, oh, this does sound like Rebecca when we first met. Um, yeah. And I think that when we don't assume that we're going to take time off, that's
Yeah.
another piece that you mentioned that like we have to assume we're going to take time off. And usually when I'm working with therapists, I say six weeks minimum off
Yes.
per year. And most people kind of gawk at that because they're like, I'm taking like two off. But they're not necessarily taking two off when you add it all up, right? They might be
Right.
taking two intentional weeks off per year,
Right.
hopefully more, but they also get the flu or their kids out sick and they have to cancel. Or, I mean, really, when you count in the like cancellations outside your cancellation policy, right? Like the
Yeah.
25-hour ahead of your 24-hour policy, like when
Yeah.
you add it up, it ends up
Yes.
kind of adding weeks of unpaid work.
Absolutely. And you can try to safeguard yourself in so many ways. You're like, I have to take today off, so I'll see somebody on Saturday. I live in New Orleans. You just experienced a hurricane too. There are things outside of our control that make
Mhm.
us stop our practices for longer than we want to all
Yes.
the time.
Hmm.
And so if you know you have to make $10,000 a month, 15,000, whatever it is, it's really helpful to have a practice that like kind of gives you some cushion on that. So
Hmm.
one of these months of the year, you can still have that cash because you made it the month before and the month before and the
Yes.
month before.
Yes. I'm a big fan of paying yourself the same amount every time you pay yourself.
Hmm.
I used to not do that and it was fine. But I think as we're coming up with like there's more instability in the therapy market than there has been in the, 2 decades that I've been in private practice.
Yeah. It's
Um,
wild out there.
it's wild. And like financial insecurity, financial fear for me is the biggest anxiety producer, anxiety trigger in my life.
Hmm.
So I do everything I can to prevent that. And for a lot of therapists, like let's say you do take a vacation like spring break, right? You take spring break with your family. That's a week that you're away. You're, especially if you're a premium fee, that's a lot of money you're not making. But
Yeah.
if when you set your financial goals for the year, you assumed 6 weeks off and this is within that, then you're solid. But you need
Yeah.
to make sure that throughout the rest of the year, you're paying into basically like your PTO fund so
Yeah.
that during your spring break month, you're not like, oh shit.
Right? How are you gonna pay for groceries? Like when you're
Yeah.
charging a premium fee and you're still worried about paying for groceries, there's something that needs to shift. And it
Yes.
can shift. It usually is just about being intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think for this person, I don't know if they take insurance or if they take or if they're private pay. They didn't say, I don't think. Nope. But I would say you either need to raise your rate or get off insurance to as one of the steps. The first step though, I would say first get it to where you are paying yourself the same amount every pay period, whatever that is for you, whether that's weekly, biweekly, or monthly.
Hmm.
Make sure that you have done the math and you're not just guessing at what that number is because that's going to create a mess if not.
Yeah.
And make it the assumption based on at least 6 weeks off per year
Hmm.
so that you have some extra to float you.
Yeah.
And then after that is when I would look at like what would it be like to raise your rate or get off insurance and make some sort of changes so that you're not in this like because you say I'm scared that cutting sessions means I'll lose financial stability. Like Rebecca said, a side hustle isn't going to be the answer. I don't know if this is where this person was leading, but I talk people out of side hustles maybe every other day because it seems like oh well the therapy market is more unstable than it's been, so let me create a coaching program or something like that. That I'm like, you're creating a whole other business with a whole other learning curve with
Yeah.
now you're trying to be found amongst there are way more coaches than there are therapists in the world. So like you're making your
Right.
life harder.
You have your unfair advantage here. You have a degree. You are a
Hmm.
shrink. It is great.
Yeah.
And the idea that I think that the side hustle allure is like it's nicer. It's nicer than upping your rates.
Yes.
And that is a problem.
Uh-huh.
Because it's not true.
Hmm.
It's not at all true. What you are providing as a therapist is wildly valuable to your clients.
Yes.
And that needs to be reflected in what you get in your time and your energy and your finances.
Hmm.
And I think they said, I'm scared that cutting sessions means I'll lose financial stability. Cutting sessions means you will lose money. But if
Hmm.
it means you've lost financial stability, then the stability hasn't been created before you cut the sessions.
Boom. Hmm.
And that's huge. Um, and so how do you reduce your caseload without blowing up your income is raising your income as you reduce your caseload.
Yes.
And then the momentum piece kind of follows because then you have more energy and you have more time and you have more white space and you can like plan. And I will also say, if you decide to raise your rates, actually really figure out what that rate should be. Because
Yes.
every time you have to tell 25 people that you're raising your rate, it feels awful. And you're like, oh, I don't like it. It feels really uncomfortable. And if you raise it $5, you're gonna have to do it in 2 more months
Right.
over and over again. So raise it to what you actually need, feel comfortable there, and then evaluate in a year.
Yeah. And that's based on math, not feelings. What you actually need is based on math.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. Well, thank you for your time, Rebecca. Like, I
You're
love
welcome.
this. And for anybody else who is like listening and like feeling like they really relate to this person, Limitless Practice might be a good fit for you. That's where we help full therapists make changes in their practice. Rebecca's a grad. That's what she was talking about earlier. Uh, we will put the link to Limitless in our show notes if you are listening to the pod and in the caption if you're listening on social media. And we have a free worksheet for you today. It's a sessions per month formula. So this is going to help you figure out what you need to make each month, to like how many sessions you need to have and what you need to make each
At
month.
what rate?
At what
Yeah.
rate? Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks for the words. Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye, Allison.